Hey everyone. Now, as I'm sure at least a few of you remember, last fall when the grand jury decision in the Michael Brown case out of Ferguson, Missouri came down, I posted a video that tried to discourage a lot of the more heated reactions to the decision and particularly the violence, what relatively little violence actually flared up in the aftermath of the decision's issuance. I also urged people to be a bit less fixated on the outcome of this particular case and to focus more on the big picture, because I thought that that is really where our focus should lie when it comes to dealing with the issue of police misconduct in America, particularly as it's directed against blacks and Latinos. So, it's now March 2015, and the Federal Justice Department has finally handed down its findings in its official inquiry into the shooting of Michael Brown. What are the results? What are those findings? Well, it turns out that the Justice Department has decided not to charge Officer Darren Wilson, and if you look at their stated reasons for that decision, those reasons seem to corroborate, to some degree at least, the grand jury's decision. They state, and I'm reading verbatim from the USA Today article where I saw this news. It says, according to the inquiry, several witnesses stated that Brown appeared to pose a physical threat to Wilson as he moved toward Wilson. According to these witnesses, who are corroborated by blood evidence in the roadway, the inquiry states, as Brown continued to move toward Wilson, Wilson fired at Brown in what appeared to be self-defense and stopped firing once Brown fell to the ground. End of quote. However, at the same time, this is a piece of the news that's gotten a lot more press, at the same time, the Justice Department released what this same USA Today article calls a scathing denouncement of policing in the city. Basically, that report documents a lot of examples of just blatant, racism, frankly, on the Ferguson Police Department, and it basically tears apart the kind of policing that that community has experienced over the past several years, and has really indicted those problems with policing in the town of Ferguson as responsible for strained racial relations as well as police community relations in that city. So in other words, I think that these two findings sort of vindicate and support the advice that I was trying to offer last fall. On the one hand, I think that there were a lot of knee-jerk reactions to the Michael Brown, Darren Wilson incident specifically, and now it turns out that the evidence, you have one more institution that's investigated the incident and found at best that the evidence is too murky to bring charges against the police officer in that case. However, on the other hand, that same institution, the Justice Department, has found that there is rampant racial bias, basically, on the Ferguson Police Department. And I think that that really speaks to the big picture, which is that whatever happened in the particular encounter between Darren Wilson and Michael Brown, the fact remains there is a very serious problem with racial bias in American policing and in the American criminal justice system generally. We need to look at that big picture. So very quickly, I just wanted to comment on this latest set of findings from the Justice Department. I think it really does reinforce the need to make sure that all the facts and evidence are in before we pass judgment on specific cases, while at the same time looking at the big picture, focusing on that big picture, and marshaling whatever resources we have available to us to deal with that big picture problem of racial bias and discrimination in the justice system. So again, I welcome your comments, I welcome your feedback. Looking forward to it. Sayonara, and again, let's increase the peace.